Everyone, back tuning into today's video. We're going to have a quick look at the Southern Oscillation Index. We've had more developments there with the El Nino event. The Southern Oscillation Index has been crashing over the past few days, so we'll have a look at detail on that. We'll also have a look, of course, at the coming hot spell and risk of thunderstorms later on this week. But before we get on that, just to mention the ads, there's links to articles on all pages, go have browse widgets, the articles that you're interested in, please click through. You'll be able to go off and read the article, and because you're clicking from Gazzle, is where that article is. We get a revenue fee on what you're doing. There's also video ads to those pages where you open out the content, then they'll close back up again when you've watched them. So just to start off with the Southern Oscillation Index, this is a reflection of the atmospheric setup in the Southern Ocean from Tahiti to Darwin. When the Southern Oscillation Index is very negative, it's telling us that the atmosphere is reflecting an El Nino setup. And an El Nino is a warming of the Pacific Ocean from Peru through to Indonesia. When when the Southern Oscillation Index goes positive, it's a sign of La Nina. It's telling us that the atmospheric setup in the Southern Oceans in the Pacific is reflecting sort of a La Nina type setup. So, well, we actually went fairly positive with the Southern Oscillation Index through the first half of June. This was fighting against the developing El Nino. For example, here on the 9th of June, we went to plus 15.10. So that's really quite a positive number for the Southern Oscillation Index, and as I say, it is sort of fighting against the El Nino. But in the last few days, the Southern Oscillation Index has been going very, very negative once again. So really, all starting from around the 19th of June. And then it's carried on through the remainder of the month. So on the 19th of June, we crashed down to 16.5. The next day, the 20th, went down to minus 34.4. Really, really negative. These very negative numbers continue. Minus 44 there on the 25th of June, minus 48 on the 26th. And continuing very negative now up to today, the 29th of June, which comes out at minus 28.4. So this is telling us that once again the atmosphere and the oceans are coupling up to produce the El Nino. We have seen quite a dramatic warming of the Pacific Ocean in the equatorial region anyway over the past month. This is the sea surface temperature anomaly map from the 1st of June. You can see the signature of El Nino. Even here, we've got Peru over there, Indonesia over here, and you can see the warming of the equatorial Pacific taking place. Even at the start of June, there was a good El Nino signal. But if we go on and have a look at the latest chart, we see that dramatic warming has taken place on the eastern side of the Pacific. Anyway, at the moment, it is eastern-based El Nino, not really getting into the central western part of the actual Pacific just yet, mainly in this region at the moment, but it will spread across the equator over the next few weeks and months. And El Nino is well and truly on its way now, so I don't think anything really can stop this El Nino now. Just going to be a question of how strong it gets. Some of the modelling is predicting a very, very strong El Nino indeed. We'll have another full update on El Nino in July. So coming back to the weather over the next week or so, and we're going to have a look at the GFS temperature and precipitation ensembles next. We've got this heat wave coming up this week, of course, so we'll start off with the temperature side of the ensembles. The red line here is the 30-year temperature average, the thick red line. We can see that from now right through towards the middle and last stage of the week, the temperatures are shooting upwards, going to peak around the 1st, 2nd of July, around Wednesday into Thursday, when we're going up to around 20 degrees at 850 millibars. That's very hot temperatures, certainly into the low 30s, possibly into the mid 30s Celsius down on the surface, dependent on how much sunshine there is and whether there's thunderstorms. Of course, we do get this bit of a drop down with temperature. Still be very warm, but we get a bit of a drop down through Thursday into Friday, and then perhaps a bit of a reload Friday into Saturday. Saturday before finally the heat moves away as we go through into weekend and it turns cooler for the weekend and start next week. Although it's still relatively warm, we're still a little bit above the 30-year average, but certainly nothing like the heat wave that's coming up this week. And beyond that, it's going to the second week of July, so this is from around the 8th of July here going through towards the middle part of the month. From that period, generally a lot of scatter, but I think the overall trend is probably actually downwards a little bit with the temperatures through into the second week of the month. There are rainfall spikes as well associated particularly with this hot weather, so I think we can expect some thunderstorms to be breaking out here from around the middle of the week through to the end of the week and into the start of the weekend. There could be some thunderstorms, and then we probably lose that thunderstorm risk over the weekend and start of next week as those temperatures drop down. Lots of sporting events, of course, taking place over the next few days with Wimbledon and the British Grand Prix coming up. So all eyes for these events will be on the skies, I'm sure. So starting off with the GFS for Tuesday, tomorrow, the high pressure that's bringing this heat wave is building across many central parts of Europe. The winds are going into the south, trying to drag that heat up from the south of the country. As we go through into Wednesday, the high pressure is centred across central parts of Europe. The heat is on the western side of the high pressure coming up from North Africa and Spain through France. France is going to have a really, really hot week this week. We could see records broken across France. And that heat is pushing northwards, albeit in a modified form, but it is coming northwards into the UK through the middle part of the week. These are the upper air temperatures for Wednesday, the 1st of July. You see, virtually the whole of the country is within the 15 Celsius isotherm, so that's very warm air, and it's unusual to see it actually getting into Scotland, but there it is, it's virtually covering the whole of the country. But 20 Celsius isotherm is sort of down in the southeast. That's really hot air, and look how hot it is down across France and stretched down into central and eastern parts of Spain. Could be some thunderstorms around on Wednesday. I think the greatest risk of storms on Wednesday will probably be for Wales, for North Midlands maybe, and also particularly perhaps focus on southern Scotland and northern parts of England. This is the rainfall chart for 6 o'clock in the evening on Wednesday. You see there is a suggestion of precipitation through southern parts of Scotland and northern England in particular, and things sort of blow up more actually through the evening. Some really violent and torrential thunderstorms across northern England, maybe some coming down the eastern coast. Well, not a great deal in the south actually, despite the fact that the highest temperatures will be in the south. Not so the greatest thunderstorm risk on Wednesday will probably be for more northern parts of the country, but that's to be determined. It's still a little way off, so don't be too certain, but that is exactly how things are panning out. Very hot day on Wednesday with temperatures here being suggested to be 30 or 31. So that's around 88 Fahrenheit. These are normally undercooking the temperatures as well, these maps, so you can normally add 2 or 3 degrees onto that. So if it's showing 31 for the south around London, you could probably increase that to say 33 or maybe even 34, so going up towards the mid-90s Fahrenheit down in the far southeast. Even very warm into Scotland. I mean, northern England here, it's being suggested to be 27, 28, going up into Scotland, away from the eastern coast of Scotland anyway. Temperatures generally into the low to mid-20s. So a really warm spell coming up even for the north of the country through midweek. Things cool off a little bit through into Thursday. Thursday will probably be a cloudier day after those thunderstorms. I don't think there'll be too much in way of rain, but probably a fair amount of cloud, which will limit the temperatures, but probably feeling a little bit humid. And then as we go through into Friday, I think the heat's going to reload from the south on Friday and into Saturday, so the air is going back into the south, pumping that heat northwards again. So temperatures on Friday are actually picking up compared to Thursday. We're back in sort of the upper 20s or the low 30s Celsius on Friday, so getting into the high 80s Fahrenheit. Once again, really hot across France, temperatures widely sort of 37, 38, 39 above 100 Fahrenheit across many parts of France. If you're going to France this week, it's going to be a really hot week. And then as we look at the precipitation charts, things blowing up again on Friday. So we have a risk of thunderstorms in the north probably on Wednesday, a drier but albeit rather cloudier day on Thursday, and then more heavy storms possible on Friday. As we go through the day, we see quite widespread precipitation here, even down in the south and southeast, so things really could develop with perhaps the peak of the thunderstorms being at late Friday into Saturday. There's a little bit of uncertainty about the timing of this, so other models want to push this back more into Saturday and have Friday basically be a drier day. Eventually these storms clear through. They will start to introduce that cooler air off the Atlantic, so by the time you go through to 6 o'clock in the morning on Saturday, the storms are sort of becoming confined to Scotland and Northern England, and the cooler, fresher air is starting to push in from the west. Convective potential, of course, with such high temperatures, so on the Cape charts we do see the risk of thunder and lightning on Friday. So it's Wednesday and Friday, according to the GFS, that are the days to look out for both heat and for thunder. Beyond that, we start to introduce a cooler, fresher westerly flow. It'll still be relatively warm down in the south and southeast, but the cooler air with these upper air temperatures is pushing in off the Atlantic. So we're up to, or we're down sort of mid-20s on Saturday, and as we go through into Sunday, again, the upper air temperatures are cooling off very gradually from the west. So by Sunday, we're probably down into the low to mid-20s across many parts of the country, but still pretty warm down in the south and southeast. Even on Sunday, temperatures in the south and southeast still going up sort of 25, 77 Fahrenheit. The GEM is in agreement with all of this, really, although it is delaying that cooler push on that we see on Friday night into Saturday. It's delaying it more into Saturday itself. So here is the chart for midnight on Saturday morning, and we see that winds are still in from the south-southeast, still bringing that hot air up from the south. It's only a few hours difference, but we see from the upper air temperatures from the time when the GFS is beginning to cool things down and push those thunderstorms across the country, the GEM is still really very hot with the upper air temperatures at midnight on Saturday. But it does gradually start to cool down through Saturday itself as these cooler temperatures start to edge in from west, but still really hot in the east and the southeast through Saturday. So this would imply that Saturday could be another very hot day in the southeast, albeit with thunderstorms breaking out. And then finally, as we go through into Sunday, that cooler air is then pushing through across all parts of the country as the winds go into the west through Sunday and into the start of next week. The ECMWF finally, and here we go for Friday, suggesting the chance of that reload of the heat through Friday. The upper air temperatures at midnight on Friday, not all that exciting. As we go through another 24 hours, you see that heat is pushing back up again. Notice how hot it is across France. I mean, it's 25 Celsius there at 850 HA across central parts of France. Would see temperatures lifting up above 40 degrees somewhere like Paris. That's incredible heat, 105 Fahrenheit. Not all that far away from us, but it won't get that hot because as this is taking place from Friday and Saturday, thunderstorms are breaking out. By the time you go through to Sunday, cooler air is pushing in off the Atlantic with those upper air temperatures. So as we go into the start of next week, it still sort of wants to keep warmth close to us. You wouldn't rule out another push, although as we go through to Tuesday, another system's coming across that could be producing more sort of thunderstorms. Then ridge builds back in again through the middle part of the week. I'm not sure about the developments through next week with the ECM WF, but it does imply that the resource high won't be all that far away, and with the heat still generally entrenched across many parts of France, Central Europe, you wouldn't rule out the chance that it could get hot again next week from this sort of pattern. But we'll worry about that a little bit closer to time. We've got enough going on with this week because temperatures are on the up this week. We're going to have a heat wave. It's been well advertised. It'll be starting from tomorrow. Wednesday is going to be a very hot day down in the south-southeast, above 90 Fahrenheit for some parts of southeast England. Risk of thunderstorms, well, looks like the greatest risk of storms will be in the north on Wednesday. Then it all calms down, turns a little bit cooler, but still very warm on Thursday. The heat reloads on Friday, and that's probably when we've got the greatest risk of widespread thunderstorms late Friday or Saturday. still to be determined exactly when that cooler push is coming across, producing most thunderstorms. Could be sort of late Friday into Friday night and Saturday, or it could be later on in Saturday. And that will depend. That will make the difference on whether we have a hot day again on Saturday or whether Saturday is a cool day. So that side of things still to be determined. Eventually, it will cool down by the second half of the weekend. But all in all, a really interesting spell of weather coming up. So keep checking back for more. That's it for now. Thanks for watching.